We're here in the Brentford home changing rooms, and we're joined by Danny Jamieson, who is a TNT Sports presenter and reporter. So welcome to Sign Up.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate having me on the show.
I'm sure it feels a little bit weird to be on the other side of the questions. You're used to being the one doing the interviewing, yeah?
Honestly, it's so strange because like all of these years doing my job, I'm having to ask questions. You almost train yourself out of giving your own opinions. So it might take a little bit of time to kind of like figure myself back out and get back into that mode. But yeah, it's a little bit odd being on this side of the interview.
So let's talk about football. Man City, Liverpool are the only team so far to have won all of their matches. Do you feel like that is going to continue like last season, or is there going to be some mix-up coming?
I don't think it'll be quite like last season. I think there may be more teams that will be closer to Man City. I think Arsenal have strengthened really well in the summer, in particular. I think they have a lot more depth now with Mikel Merino, Calafiori, Sterling all being signed in the summer. And that may be the thing that maybe caught them out towards the end of last season. They were a little bit tired maybe. So I think they'll push City. I think Liverpool look really good as well. And it wouldn't shock me, maybe there's a surprise team, maybe Tottenham figure things out a little bit more, maybe someone... Sorry, Rolf.
Sorry, excuse me. Yeah.
Maybe someone surprises and sort of pushes on like Aston Villa did last season.
So in the first 3 games of the season then, who's looked particularly impressive to you?
Well, outside of the teams that we've already mentioned, I suppose Liverpool are one in particular. I thought maybe it would take a little bit of time after Jurgen Klopp left. It's difficult not to say Brighton, right? I mean, they've been so good. They were another team with a new manager in Fabian Hürzeler, where a lot of new players coming in, slightly different manager. Maybe it takes them a little bit of time to ease into the season, but I mean, they've been absolutely incredible so far. And maybe without European football this season, maybe they're the team that surprises people. Even like these guys, Brentford, again, like with losing Ivan Toney, they've picked up exactly where they started last season with Wissa and Brian Mbeumo have been phenomenal. So, I mean, I really like Thomas Frank. I think he's a great manager. They've been really good. Again, they could be a team that they've played different football to a lot of other teams in the top half. Could they be the one that maybe gets a bit of European football? That could be interesting.
So we've talked about the top of the table, now let's talk about the bottom. Everton and Southampton, they've obviously lost their 3 games so far. Which team should we be concerned about getting relegated?
I'd love the 3 teams that came up from the Championship not all to go back down again. I'd love someone like Ipswich to stay up. But it's so tough, isn't it, to go from the Championship into the Premier League. So I do think they'll be the ones that are fighting it out. Someone like Wolves as well, possibly, who've lost Maximilian Kilman, who's a brilliant footballer, Pedro Neto as well. So these are the teams that maybe will find it difficult. I think it's going to be a lot tighter at the bottom than it was last season, where there were 4 teams really that were struggling. I think it'll be a lot more teams involved and it'll be a lot tighter and a lot more exciting.
Palace.
It's
coming. I knew I had to ask it. Palace are getting down there as well.
Here we go. Every time, guaranteed, Damaris is going to say something about Palace. Yeah.
Well, I was watching your face that I didn't want to mention Palace. I thought they'd be really good this season. The way that they ended last year, right with Oliver Glasner, I interviewed him towards the end of last season, and he's so impressive. He's really switched on, very tactically clever, you can see, and they have so many players that I love. Eberechi Eze is one of my favourite players. I mean, you must love him, right, Rolf? He's so good.
Absolutely do. Yeah, absolutely adore him. I think we are suffering because Elise went to Bayern Munich and he was such a key player for us. But I think we are still in early days. We got a point against Chelsea.
Well done.
So we'll build from there.
Exciting.
Look at the Spurs fan.
So we've talked about some teams. Now I want to talk about some players. So the transfer window was finished now. Which one were you really excited to see?
Well, I don't know we've seen too much of him just yet, but I watched a lot of Archie Gray in the Championship, and Damaris, I think you are going to enjoy watching him at Tottenham. He is an absolute superstar in the making. So he's one that I'm really excited to see step up. Yankuba Minte at Brighton has been, I love like exciting, dribbly forwards like Eberechi Eze. He's that kind of player. And I watched Fulham against Leicester a couple of weeks ago, and Emile Smith-Rowe scored on his home debut. He was amazing. Tired a little bit towards the end, but he's not played too much football. So people like that. And one more, Amadou Onana at Aston Villa, who has scored twice already in the first 2 games. He is such a good player. I think he's only about 22 years old, so it's scary how much better he could be. They're the 4 that have really excited me so far.